Today we're going to talk about glazing. Your clay piece has already been fired in the kiln, and at this point you are ready to apply your glaze to your clay piece. So when we're at this point in the game, what we are going to do is go ahead and start applying our glaze however we would like, in whatever patterns, designs, whatever you would like to do. So there's lots of options with this. Please don't feel like you're limited to just one thing or one color. You have lots of color options. Feel free to ask questions. These are just general guidelines so that you know how to apply the glaze. Usually I will have containers out on your table with the colors in them and the bottle sitting next to it so you know what color they are. Please realize that the glaze color does change based on what happens in the firing process, because it gets so hot that it actually changes your glaze color. So this, although it doesn't look like it at all, is actually called bullfrog green. Doesn't look green, but that's what happens sometimes. Most of the colors do actually look like the color that you will end up with. So I'm just painting it on, just like you would paint anything. You're gonna get a nice color going, and you'll see how where it's wet, it is a darker color, and when it dries, it kind of turns chalky in its color. Zoom in here for a little bit so you can see a little bit better. You want to go over any portion that you are glazing 3 times with the same color in order to get a nice even coverage. You don't just want a little tiny bit of coverage. So now that I've done this whole side 1 time, I'm going to go over it 2 more times. It kind of doesn't seem like it's doing a lot, but it is. And it really does make a difference in your colors when you have the finished product. I will show you a couple examples in my classroom so you can see what a good glaze coverage is versus one that doesn't have as much glaze coverage on it. So with this, once I have my 3rd coat on here, almost there. Once I have the 3rd coat on there, I just kind of want to let that dry for a minute. Don't touch any of the wet spots or it ends up on my hands. You have paint shirts on, so you can use those to help you out. If you get messy hands, you can just wipe them on your paint shirt. Now I'm going to use a color called Autumn Leaves, and you will change paintbrushes based on the color you choose. I will have paintbrushes already set up for you, so it's gonna look like I'm using the same paintbrush, but that's because I'm actually cleaning my paintbrush out over here. You don't need to do that. So this one too, it's called Autumn Leaves. I actually have not seen what this one looks like after it's been fired, so I'm really interested to try this one out, see what it comes out like. Very exciting when you get to try something new. And I'm gonna make sure that there's not a seam between my colors. I'm gonna kind of blend these 2 together a little bit. If you wanted to, you could add patterns to this. You know, I could paint with a smaller brush, a thinner brush, do dots, anything you could ever dream of, lines, draw flowers on it. If I wanted to make this like a flower vase. It doesn't matter what you're glazing. One thing to always remember, since your name is carved into the bottom, here's my name in the bottom, you do not glaze the bottom of any clay piece, because of when I put them in the kiln, they have to stand on what's called a stilt. It kind of sits into the kiln this way. I don't know if I can show you very well. This way, and it holds it off of the shelf so it doesn't get stuck to it, because sometimes the glaze drips down. I don't want to have to scrape and scrape and scrape to get your clay piece off of my shelf. So I would like you to not ever, ever, ever glaze the bottom of your clay piece. Sometimes I will put a green wax on the bottom, and that is just so that it reminds you not to put glaze on that part of your clay. Don't forget, anything that you leave white, or the color of the clay piece before you start glazing it, any part of that you leave that white color will remain that white color. So the bottom will remain the white color. But as I'm working here, I'm thinking I haven't done any of the top yet. And I have a plan for that, so that's not a big deal for me. But you might not want to do that. So if you want it to be the color that you're painting on the sides, you're going to have to paint that with it. I'm gonna keep going with this autumn leaves color. On over to this side. I don't know if I got 3 layers on because I was too busy talking to you guys, and that is one thing I will ask you to try your best not to do too much of, because you will lose track as well, and then you'll have no idea if you did 3 coats. But I'll tell you, if it looks globby, it's probably more than 3. This one's going on really, really thick too, so it's actually got good coverage to begin with. If you notice white spots that you can't quite get to fill in, always feel free to dab, dab, dab. Yeah, go ahead, dab away. Get it down in there. Make sure that they're covered, okay? Not getting anything on the bottom. If I am a little bit, I can wipe that off. It's from the placemat. Please always work on your placemats too. I would prefer not to see glaze all over the tables if at all possible. But we will be cleaning the tables up when we're done anyway with wipes. So once you're finished and you have 3 coats on everything, with this particular piece, I am going to glaze the inside, but I'm not going to record that in the video. You would just do it the same way, but you got to really get your hands down in there, and you're going to get messier. There's just kind of no way around that one. With a vessel like this, sticking your hand down in there to glaze gets really difficult. Once you're finished though, you can go ahead and take the piece and set it onto the cart or the table where I told you all the clay pieces that are finished glazing need to go. Double check your work, make sure you're happy with what you have, because that's how it's gonna come out, and there's nothing else we can do after it comes out of the kiln. Have fun, guys.